I nervously sent him a text and asked him to come round for a chat. He immediately phoned and started screaming down the phone, "You better not be pregnant." He came around and put one foot in the door and said, "Are you pregnant?" I told him I was. He put his fist against my chin and told me he can't believe that he is now stuck with me. He can't believe he is stuck with a stupid, ugly bitch. He went home to relax and then called and asked if I'd like to go to the cinema. He had a very Jekyll and Hyde personality. I thought to myself, maybe he will want us. Maybe he changed his mind. But when I got into the car and he wouldn't look at me and I could feel his anger, the tension was very high and I was scared. We got out of the car and as we were walking towards the cinema, I tried to hold his hand. He said, "Don't touch me. I don't want people knowing I'm stuck with you. You're so ugly. You look so much better with blonde hair. If you're staying together, you need to be blonde again. And you're gone so fat. You need to lose weight big time." I got back into the car, fighting back the tears, and told him to take me home. When I was getting out of the car, I told him I will deal with this alone, and that it was over between us. I agonized over what to do. I knew if I went through with the pregnancy, I would be doing this alone. I was in uni doing a degree. I had a mortgage and worked part-time. I couldn't afford state-paid maternity leave. My mortgage was high and my job didn't pay maternity leave. I booked an appointment for a clinic in Dublin and met an amazing counsellor. I had a scan which showed I was 5 weeks pregnant. I didn't have any money to go to the UK or the money to pay for an abortion. I was so torn. That evening, my friend phoned and told me to come out with her. It was her treat. Later that night in a club, my ex-boyfriend was there with his friends. He came over and tested my glass of water to make sure that was all I was drinking. Myself and my friend walked over to another part of the club. My ex-boyfriend had always been the very jealous type and hated if I ever went out. He called me over and I came. He pinned me up against a wall with his hand around my neck, telling me I better go home. Security came over and I moved away, and he was spoken to by security and warned. Later he came over and held my hand. He was pinching it and twisting it. He gave me a look, and I knew he was very angry. I could see it in his eyes. Security came over and took me away while another security guard was with him, warning him. My friend and her boyfriend came with me and we got a cab. I knew what my ex-boyfriend was capable of. I've seen his temper on a few occasions. Over our 4 years together, his aggression was progressing. When we got into the taxi, I asked my friend if she could wait until I got into my house before they drove off, but she was a bit too loved up in the back of the cab to care. When we got to my street, there are no driveways. There was lots of cars parked outside my house and other people's houses, so the cab had to pull in a few doors away. I asked if they could wait until I was inside, but they quickly sped off. I heard a car door open. So terrified, I quickened my pace. I had a feeling he was behind me. I ran and I could hear him run. I got to my door and tried to get the key in quickly. I could hear him getting closer. I frantically got inside and tried to shut the door, but he pushed it open and barged in. I opened my flip phone to call the police, but he grabbed it and snapped it in half. I don't remember what happened after that, but I woke the next morning in my bedroom and the handle was taken off the door so I couldn't get out. All the windows were locked. He told me he wants the baby and wants me. I knew what I needed to do to be free. If I had his baby, I would be living a life of abuse and I just couldn't do it. I had to pretend we were staying together so I could get him to leave the house because he kept saying, "Oh, you're just saying that to get me out." I then had to force myself to show affection and act like nothing had happened, or he wouldn't leave, and I was terrified of him. I just wanted to be free. The next day he had to go to training in Templemore, so I had some space to think. I bumped into an old work colleague and she asked me what had happened to me. I broke down and told her. She brought me home. Later she returned with a pack of stomach ulcer tablets that had expired 2 years previous, and a sheet of paper with instructions on what to do. At this stage I was 6 weeks pregnant, and had no money to travel abroad, and I didn't want to wait for the embryo to develop. I felt desperate. I felt this is my only way. The next day I cried my heart out, and terrified, I took the tablets while I was alone. Pain was horrific, and I was unsure if it was supposed to be so painful, but I continued. I had no other way and felt I could not have his baby. I wanted to, but I just couldn't do it with him. I was unsure if it had all passed, and I was too scared to go to the doctor to check if I was okay. I didn't know if I had done permanent damage to myself. But I couldn't go to the doctor. I was scared of going to prison. I faced 14 years. Many years have passed, and I'm very happily married to an amazing and kind man with beautiful, precious children who bring so much happiness to our life. I risked my life doing what I did because I had no money to travel to the UK. I had no medical checkups, but I made the right decision. I have a daughter, and it would break my heart to see her or any woman go through this. It's unsafe. I hope that someday Ireland will stop shaming and ridiculing women. Trust women.